One. Hi, everyone. This is Sasha with the guest expert Nova, and we are here with the guest expert interview for the Driving Superstar Academy. So Nova is a numerologist, and let me just introduce her very quickly. She has an exciting story to tell you. So Noell is a force of nature and a changer of names. She's a Danish actress turned numerologist and entrepreneur based in New York, and uses her years of deep diving into the human condition on stage as key to her understanding of the esoteric field of numerology. With a practical and grounded sense of fun, her readings are filled with a rare and inspiring lightness. A name change via numerology is beyond the reclaiming of your personal power. It is a level up in all areas of your life. So I will let Nova tell you more about what she does, why she does it, and what brought her to this point.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you, Sasha. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored to be part of your series. It's really
I'm so glad you can join.
Superstar, thriving superstar. Don't we all want to be that? Yes. So I am here to talk about numerology, and I guess it would make sense to start with how I discovered numerology and why I chose to get the training to become a numerologist, and why I now am changing names for a living.
Yes.
So I am an actress, and I've been acting for many years. I'm Danish. And then I think I guess a lot of people who are also watching this are seekers. People who are like, I can be better than this. Like we seek to better ourselves. We might find different programs. We might find the truth in books, or following, gurus, or changing our diets, or cutting out gluten, or, there's so many ways of adjusting on how we feel in the world. And at some point, somebody in my close friend group changed her name. And I was like, whoa, wait, are we doing that now? Is that something we're doing? And her life changed.
You hadn't heard about this before.
I've heard about numerology, and I heard about people changing their names, but I never was like, I was always like, I'm not one of those people. Mm-hmm. I think some people be like, yeah, I'm never going to get into spinning, or I'm never going to do hot yoga, or I'm never going to be the kind of person who thinks that, I don't know, even something like kids. I'm not going to get kids. We all have these things in my head. And I was like, changing your name, that's lame. But then my friend did it, and her life changed, and something in me kind of clicked. And I was a skeptic. So I was like, I'll go to a numerologist. I have a session. I might change my name. If it doesn't work, I can just change it back again or something. Mm-hmm. I was kind of very skeptic, and also just, well, let's try. So I went to a numerologist, and she was just so spot on. Like, everything she said was me. All the troubles I had, all the shit that was happening, struggles in my life. She could even pinpoint, we have a tool as numerologists where we can kind of, I guess kind of like astrologers, go through the yearly cycles and see major events. She could tell me when my mom died, and she didn't know. And, she could see all kinds of things. So after that session, I was like, okay, I guess I'll change my name. So I did. I changed my name, and you have to do it officially, because what's happening here on Earth is also happening in other realms. So the way we keep records here, records are being kept other places. And if you don't change your records here, you kind of can't change your records anywhere else. It's kind of like how the systems kind of overlap. So I changed my name, and then my life changed. I fell in love with somebody, and I hadn't been in love with anyone for 8 years. I wasn't even interested in love in any way. He's now my husband, and we are now living in New York. That happened really quickly. I lost 20 pounds without dieting. Like, I know that's like it sounds like such a like, I did this and then I lost, but I did not diet. I mean, on the level I now understand, I lost the need to fill myself with things because I couldn't deal with my emotions, or I had so much anger that I had to eat to not express it when it was not appropriate. And a lot of self-love flooded into my life. And when you love yourself, you treat yourself better, and you don't put up with bullshit. Yeah, so I changed my name and stuff changed, and it was kind of like a wake-up call where I was like, I need to know how this works. So that's why I decided to become a numerologist. I found somebody amazing, a teacher that was really high in integrity and light work, like a level of light work where it wasn't about fear in any way, because this is a powerful tool. Like, just like we can make people's lives better, we can also make it really, really, really suck. It's it's important to be mindful of the power and not just be like, yeah, whatever, I'll give you a new name. There might be a small problem somewhere down the line, but whatever. You gotta calculate ahead.
Was it your full name? A full name change? Like your first?
My first and my middle and my last name, yeah. I think it also, like, anyone I ask has a story about their name. They might love it, they might hate it, they might be named after their sister's best friend and they don't like their sister, so that's a whole problem. Or, they might have a name where they always got to spell it,
Right, yeah.
But they sound like something they're not. Like, I have some clients, which I think is really interesting, who choose to change their name because they don't want to identify as the property of a man, which is very feminist, but last names that ends with son, they are identifying you based on, the male line. And I understand that. That's one of the reasons that I like Sommer as my last name right now. I might change it. But I was aware of that when I picked a new last name. I was like, oh, I just want to be myself. I don't want to sound like I am somebody's property. Yeah. There are many, many reasons to change your name. I'm also.
And how did people react around you when you changed your name?
I think I was lucky when I did it, because I was in the States at the time. So I had a lot of new friends, not a lot of old friends. And all the new friends were like, okay, you want to be called something different? Oh, okay. Where I can tell sometimes when I go back to Denmark and people are like, oh, but that's really hard to, like, you just changed your name. And I was like, yeah, I kind of did it 4 years ago. Like, now it's not news anymore. And I would really appreciate if you made the effort, because if I had changed my name because of a gender change or something, you'd take it really seriously, not calling me, the wrong name. And for me, it's just as serious. I've changed my name, and you don't have to say it. Some people also just avoid calling me my name. They just don't say it.
Right.
They I don't know, they feel weird. I'm okay with my dad. He's old. He doesn't have to change. But like with some of my friends, I feel like the stubbornness, if they want to keep calling me something else, is like, it's a little weird, because if you made any kind of decision, it was like, okay, now I did this, I really would want to respect you and respect that decision. So I feel like I've definitely lost some friends, but I feel like that's more a vibrational shift, actually. Like, I'm more like, I leveled up in certain ways, things I didn't want to put up with anymore, things I was more interested in. The ratio of who was supporting who might have changed a bit. So I feel like if people take issue, they usually have something they got to deal with themselves. Because I feel like we're living in a time where we have multiple jobs during our lifetimes. We might, take a second education. We might move to a different country. We might, change, like come out as a lot of people lived, 50 years ago, a lot more people lived their life as straight, even though they were gay. I feel like everything is moving faster and we're being more open. So the fact that people change their names to me also seems like, the vibrational shift on a planet. It's just higher. We're going through more things in one lifetime. We don't stay stuck in the same space long.
Right. So does your background as an actress help in this?
I think it definitely helps, because acting is many things, but it is definitely also not judging whatever it is you're portraying. So tapping into different vibrations, like different emotions. I feel like usually when I have a session and I gotta say all the shit that's on the paper. I gotta say because very, very few people go to a numerologist because their life is amazing. They usually go to a numerologist because life sucks. It's struggle after struggle after struggle. It's just an uphill battle. Like, it's hard to deal. Dreams crumble. And sometimes I have to say very clearly, it's not you. You are not bad. You are not inherently flawed in any way. It is your names, which it often is, like our names that are really attracting certain outcomes and smashing our dreams in certain ways, or just like really triggering things in us that we have deep-seated issues with. Yeah.
And so how long has it been with your new name, with your current?
4 years, I think 4 years. Yeah. I didn't even, I was walking on the street in Denmark, and when you can hear somebody saying something to you, but you don't really register what it is. I was standing there like at a crosswalk, and I was like hearing somebody was saying something in my direction. I was like, I don't know, I don't recognize the voice. So I just didn't look. Might be a New York thing. I was just used to not looking. And then when I crossed the crosswalk, I realized they had been calling me by my old name. And it was like not like a friend, but just like somebody I knew from whatever. And I felt really bad, but I didn't even register my old name. It was weird. Like, it didn't sound like me anymore.
Right. So you already had leveled into
I think if
different.
it's the right fit, it changes fast. I think we are what we identify with, so I don't identify with that name anymore in that vibration. So I think it changes fast. I feel like if I ever have people that come back to me and say, which I haven't had that, but I've heard about people who come back to a numerologist and they're like, just don't like my new name, I don't like my new, all these things. I'm like, well, then it's not the right one we found. It should integrate. It should feel good. It should be an epic feeling of getting to choose your very old. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, on a basic level, it's just really cool to get to pick that, because you pick your outfit each day, and you do your hair, and you go to a job that hopefully you interviewed for. And like, we do all these things that we picked to do, and we choose, and names are the same way. It's just like, it feels really good. We don't always realize how much baggage. I understand it on a vibrational level. I understand the baggage, but there is a lot of baggage in names. There's a lot of kind of like your inbox is filled with spam that you just can't, it just keeps coming. The same kind of with our names. It's like a lot of things in our mind kind of keeps coming up. Especially,
like history from the past, and like your
people get divorced, and they, your mom and dad never got along, but your dad got his name first on your birth certificate or something. So now you're a Smith, and your mom is a whatever, a Jones, and she there's just, wow. It's good to pick your own, to just be in charge there of what you carry around. But I wanted to get to the teaching point. So
let's do that. So you want to talk about a few things that you want to share.
Yeah, I wanted
really relevant to expressing the gifts and and strength.
I wanted to talk through just quickly. In numerology, kind of like astrology, we have 9 base numbers, and you can kind of akin them to the sun signs, but they're a lot more specific. And base numbers they come from your birthday, kind of like astrology. It's just a little more practical. So you take your birthday, and I'm born on the 28th of July. And you take that day and you find the digit sum. So if you're born on the 5th, it's just a 5th. But say I'm born on the 28th, put those 2 numbers together, I get 10, and then 0 we don't use. So I'm a 1. You do that with any birthday you have. So you can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or a 9. And if you want to go deeper, we also look at the yearly base numbers. And then again, you would just take the digit sum of the year. So if you were born on, like I'm born in 1986, and you put all those numbers together, then you get 24, put 24 together, then you get 6. So I'm actually a 1 and a 6. But to make it simple, we're just going to go through
the day and month.
Yes, the day. So ones like me, we have a goal in life, a theme, if you will, and it's a goal about leadership. You can't have a 1, kind of like the Leo. You can't have a 1 without having a theme about being in charge and being the leader. A big theme about delegating, not doing it all yourself, actually finding people who share your cause and can help you on the track. And then you have a lesson. I mean, these are really, really condensed. Then as a 1, you also have a lesson in the balance, because there is a tendency to work really hard, be really perfectionistic, really, really wanting to just, I'm going to do it myself because then I know it's going to be done right. That's a lesson for the 1 of, like, again, with the delegating and just like giving it over and saying, it could also just be easy. I could also just, go home from work and not bring home with me, bring work home with me. So that's like the condensed version of their theme and their lesson. Then we have 2s. They're, again, born on a 2 day. So that would also be the 11th or the 20th or the 29th. And they have a theme about ease and fun and play and pleasure. It's always...
What was the first word you said?
Ease. Like,
ease.
Yeah, it's just like not... really, truly, can it be easy? Which is always interesting because usually name vibrations don't support your essence. So a lot of 2s will work really hard. And that's really not what they're here for. Like, they're deeply sensitive people. And they're here actually to have fun, and their deeply sensitive nature is like they're open to other people's emotions, which sometimes makes them really troubled because they take on all the stuff from their friends. But also, like, they're the people, they go into a party and they get drunk just from the music and the joy in the room. So that's like one of their goals in life, is actually just to have fun and look for the fun through whatever they decide to do. And
so you're saying often it doesn't line up with what's...
Yes. If we look from it like way up high, then of course we decided to be born on that day, in that month, in that year, in that family, because also like your family decides your names, right? So you decided to be born into that family with those kind of challenges. And which is why when people usually find a numerologist, on some level, they like, okay, I'm done with that version. I would like to get something that is supporting me. I would like to put down some of all this baggage, all this, old karma, old shit, and just try this incarnation in a more supported setup. I mean, usually a name change also brings about a lot of spiritual awareness. It usually opens up the channels that are already there, of course. And I think, like, for me, when I look at it on a higher level, when I see a lot of people changing their names on the planet right now, I'm thinking it's because they're needed. Higher vibrating people with more support get more shit done. And I mean, like, they move more light, they move more good stuff into the world. I mean, when you stop carrying around all your old baggage, you can maybe finally get around to doing what you want to be doing, putting out fires. And
yeah, that's a good image to think about.
Yes,
it's like you're trying to climb up a mountain, and you
maybe be like, whoa, this mountain is not my job this time around. So choose their lesson is about the balanced sensitivity, like the empath that can say like, oh, right, you're you and I'm me. I don't have to live over in your emotional life. I don't have to live through other people. Really identifying what they want is big for 2. Then we got 3s. Got a major theme about success. This is really like so important for a 3 to get success. And of course, success is like, it's really important when we talk about these things. What is it to you? Like, is it money? Because then you should go for it. Like for a 3, it's like, if money is your success parameter, like go for it. If it's getting recognized, because 3s are hard workers. Usually 3s, other people go like, oh my God, that's a lot of work. And 3s are like, what do you mean? It's just Monday. It's just what I do. They don't see hard work as something special. It's kind of just what they do, which is also why if a 3 has a name set up that don't support them, they're still going to work hard, but they're not going to get their goals. They're not going to get that success. And that's really painful when it's really like one of the things, like they're ambitious. Whatever the top looks like for them, they need to get there. There's also a leader in the 3. And their lesson is really about like nuances, that everything is not black and white. There are gray zones, like empathy with other people that might not be as strong and focused as them. I mean, 3s might look at a 2 and go like, what is all this emotional stuff you're talking about? We got work to do. Like, we're going somewhere. That can happen sometimes with 3s. Yes. So we got 4s. These are the innovators. These are like the people who go like, wouldn't it be smart if I could take my phone with me when I leave the house? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Like 4s are the people that see a gap and they fill it. Like, they're also the rebels and the geniuses and the people who just think outside the box. We can see it in the name vibrations, but we can also see it in the setup. Like Einstein had some 4 in him. Even if he didn't have it in his birthday, he had it in his names. So 4s are, but their big theme, I mean, they're innovators, but the big theme is like feeling like an outsider, finding a tribe, finding a way to fit in. Not being like, oh, I'm the black sheep, I'll just leave. And just not like, I'll go to a party and feel like I'm being left out, even though I'm sitting right there. There's like a big theme for 4s about, you do fit in, you have to find your tribe. They're out there. There are other 4s out there. There's really like also like a self-love thing, because if we don't fit in, then maybe we're not worthy of love. So that's a theme for a lot of 4s. Then we got 5.
Is it like a creative?
Yes.
Creative mind.
A lot of ideas. I mean, for 4s, it's like a lot of ideas, like, because they see, oh, this could be done, or this could be done, or I could create that. And for it to be real, they got to work on the foundation. They usually see the top, the finished product, oh, it's out there. I can see it, the whole thing. And then the lesson is, okay, but you got to start from the bottom. You got to figure out how to build this thing. To kind of flesh it out and fill it out because they're innovators. Like, they might get the whole idea and then go like, oh, but I kind of don't want to make it, so I'll go to the next idea. And then they'll like fill their life with half shaped businesses, or half done, training or whatever. They might lose interest because they can't get to the finished product fast enough, even, or something new and shiny. might show up in front of them.
Is it because of the ideas? Like so many ideas.
So many ideas.
Yeah,
but it's just, I mean, that's, again, we're all here to work together. And sometimes with the force, it's also like, well, if you don't want to do it, then maybe find somebody who wants to, you know, find out where you fit into the chain. Some force might also be like, I don't fit in with the system. I don't want authority. I'm done with that.
Off the grid.
Off the grid, yes. Where they might be really happy actually in some kind of chain, like just like, oh, I'm coming up with all the ideas and I get to write them down or like explain them, and somebody else will go do them, you know, and build them. And I can take credit. It's important for force also to get the credit for the ideas they come up with. But they might not be like, the follow through can be hard for a 4, really to see it through all the way. Then we got 5s, big lesson about communication. That's really what they're here like to be. Any kind of communication, any kind of flow. I mean, their life usually has to do with any kind of sale. Even I've met 5s where I've realized later, you know, they might be models or singers or actors. But one thing is like they do create, but they are also kind of part of the product already. Like they are creating something, but they are also part of the creation, which I see a lot of 5. Like it just makes sense whenever I see a 5 who, you know, becomes the face of their own product. I'm like, of course you are. Of course you're the face of your own product, because you are that. You are the mouthpiece. Right. I want to say
expression.
Yeah, and they also, I mean, also like lots of 5s, they do well with people because it's all about communication and talking to people. You know, 5s talk to cab drivers, and you know, they usually have a lot more like they're usually friendly. They have a bigger social circle than most people, because they're just like, I mean, it doesn't cost them anything to talk to you. Like other base numbers go further down. They might be like, oh man, it's kind of hard to talk to people all the time. I kind of just want to, you know, go be myself. 5 are like, no, I'm really tired. I should go be with people. They will like fuel me. 5s, like they seek out social interaction and communication. And it's also like if they're ever, of course, if they're burnout, they need to sleep. That's the cure for 5s. I mean, a lot of people need to do different things, but 5s, they need to sleep. Calm down. Yes. But then they also like, you know, if you're down, you know, change your input. For a 5, it's like just change, you know, it's not that hard. Give yourself something else to experience. Yeah, and their big lesson is about mental balance and just ground and focus and one thing at a time, because they are like, you know, all the things. Of course, I can go to a party and then an art opening and then have a late dinner and like, yeah, and I'll do it all again tomorrow. And also because 5s are like, they're not the strongest base number. So sometimes when things are hard, they're like, oh, okay, but there must be an easier way to get this message out there or to get to do this. So I always find it fun when they're, you know, models or actors or something, because it has to be fun to look at you while you do it. Like we don't want to see an actor where it looks hard for them to get on the stage and to do their thing. You know, it has to be a little effortless. It has to be a little magical. And for 5s, that kind of interaction with the world where it's just like, yeah, I'm just like in the moment and present and exchanging. That's just what they do. Very needed in the world to just have that level of like, I'm just communicating. It's not
no strings.
Yeah, no strings. Yes. Then we get to 6. 6s, oh, I love them. It's all about love and care. There's like, it's not like a sexy thing. It's more like a caretaker thing of taking care of people, taking care of places. It's very like, you know, they're ruled by Venus. It's very all about beauty, family, close-knit communities. They have a healing ability, actually, of healing with groups. You'll always find like 6s will usually find some form of social work. They'll be, you know, teachers or social workers, or, I mean, they might be some kind of leader, but they'll be very focused on like bringing people closer and heart connections, where 5s, for example, are more about like just like your solar plexus like fans, actually having an audience. It's cool to have an audience. Where with sixes, it's more about the heart connection. Like, are we actually connecting, you know? And also, if you take your heart away from me, that's not okay. For a six, like that kind of relationship to the world where it's all heart-centered, and they're very stubborn. I mean, really, when they look at sixes, I think about, you know, how parents would do anything for their kids. And that's how sixes do with people too. They like, if you're inside in their circle, they would do anything for you. And they would go very, very far to make sure that you're okay. And of course, their lesson in that is boundaries. Because, I mean, even though your love might be limitless, some people might not want it in that way. They might not want your help. They might not need your advice or your opinion. A lot of people find sixes, like, it can be a very nurturing relationship, but it can also be like hard to break up with a six and just go like, I mean, it's fine. We can just be our two separate entities here. You don't have to take care of me. It's fine. And that could be hard for a six because, like, well, but I just made you dinner, you know? Now you got to sit and talk to me and we got to be close. There's this like thing which, like, they are passionate people. And there's really, like, it's really important for a six to figure out what it means to be there for themselves. Self-love, like taking care of themselves, their own boundaries, what they need, because they can just give and give and give. Like, for a six to pour out of an empty cup, that's kind of possible for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a six.
You're a six?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's correct?
Yeah, it can get to that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's definitely, and also, like, for six, it's
like you get taken advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, you know, sometimes offering up. I mean, I have six in my yearly energy, and I can tell that at some point I realized, wow, you know, people are always eating at my house. They're always coming over. Nobody's ever inviting me over to their house. And it's not that they have to, but shouldn't there be some form of exchange? Like, shouldn't it be some kind of, like, you know, I realized that my love language was not being met. I realized, wow, I got to communicate that this is my love language. I'm giving you love. And I need for you to meet me in that love language. I need you to do things that make me feel loved and cared for. Or I will feel taken advantage of. Like, I will in the end be like, I mean, because you don't put the boundary when they cross it a little bit. As a six, they cross a lot before you say, okay, now it's not okay anymore. And, you know, with the six, with the love, it comes a lot of temper. And sometimes people are like, I didn't realize this was such a big deal. And you're like, how can you not see it? Because I poured love and love and love. And they were like, I thought you were kind of just being nice. And you're like,
yeah, it's like a resentment.
Yeah, like it can build a little, a little pit in the stomach there. Yes, but let's finish them up, the rest of the list here. We got sevens. Got a major, they're one of the gentlest base numbers. They're really connected to the other side. So it's really where four were the innovators. I feel like sevens, they kind of just pick the ideas out of the thin air. They do the synergy thing where you're like, wow, I couldn't even go there. I didn't even know that that's what I needed. When sevens get, like, there are spiritual leaders. They're the people that combine, you know, like Marie Forleo, she's a seven, combining business and a more heart-centered spiritual way of doing business and like doing a more like, what do you want to call it? Like, maybe even like feminine energy. Maybe there is a lot of feminine energy in a seven, in that form of receiving intel from the other side and then turning it into something new in this world. There's like a very big, like, strong intuition for sevens. I mean, we can all have strong intuitions, but with sevens, you go like, that's weird. How did you know to be there at that at that time, in that space, dressed like that. And they're like, oh, it kind of just came to me. And other people go like, things don't come to me like that. It doesn't come to me to be there and do that at this moment in time. But for sevens, they're really plugged in. I mean, they are the natural artists because they're really listening. They're hearing it. They're translating it. Their spiritual, their intuitive, their creative side. Danielle Laporte is a 7, again, also creating a more holistic spiritual brand for herself. I mean, her business is all about how do you want to feel. Totally different way of doing goal setting, of course. So 7s have that big, like, spiritual, creative intuition, and if their name setup has done them a disservice, they can be really lost. Because if you shut down that side, or like, I feel like a lot of 7s, when I hear they have ADHD or whatever you call it, like whenever people have something where they're like overly active or their mind is overly active, I'm like, well, you don't need to dampen it. You need to find a way where that works for you. And of course, you need to channel it in some way. Your imaginary friends are not so imaginary to you, and they're there to tell you things. You're there, and you're there to bridge that knowledge into this world. And they have a big theme about power and being worthy to self-worth in that. And then we got 8s. This is an interesting one. Very, very touched by destiny, I guess we should call it. 8s are very passionate people. They're very strong and sometimes very, very closed. There is a closed thing with the 8, where there is their theme about showing up and being authentic, like really showing up, really being truly them, figuring out what that means for them, showing up with that amount of passion and strength that they're here with. Because I feel like it's funny, I meet 8s and they ask me for advice, and I give my advice, and I realize they're not listening at all. Because with 8s, there is that closed core, I almost want to say. They are here. They usually come with a lot of karmic ballast, like a lot of baggage that they got to figure out how to be with other people, and usually like, oh, people can't handle my shit, and I'm like, how do you know if you don't show them? And they don't listen, so they just go on and on with like, oh, but I'm coming here and I'm having all these, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I'm sure we can handle it if you show me, instead of talking about how hard it is on the inside. There is like really a theme for 8s about showing up and being open emotionally and like showing all they got going on inside, especially if they decide to lead people, especially if they decide to be in front of other people. In the 8 column, we also find a lot of fame. There's a theme for them about like, if you stand in your power, you will get famous. People will notice you. And again, for an 8 with all their baggage, they're like, oh, but I can't deal. Like, if people look at me and oh my God, like I got all this shit with me. And again, I'm like, well, it's really powerful when people with a lot of, trauma or old stuff stand in the light and say like, this is me. This is all I came here with. I'm here to show that that's okay. But there's a big lesson there, and it can take a lot of years for an 8 to decide to show up. It was funny, I saw Jim Carrey is an 8, and he is showing up more in the world now as who he really is, instead of hiding behind whatever form he hid behind before. Like, and people are really divided. People are like, oh, that's so crazy, that's so weird. And other people are like, finally he's being himself. And there's a lesson for sure in that. And then, yes.
Continue.
No, I just wanted to say, in that 8, like there is really a balance also about like, sometimes they kind of cut off and say like, oh, there's nothing spiritual in the world. There's only, everything I can see and touch. And that's just wrong, because they are very they're open spiritually, and also open. So the trick for them is to balance all that they are, all the knowledge they can kind of draw on. Like all the base numbers have different clairs, like different abilities. And with eights, I'm like, there's a lot of knowing, and you don't know where it comes from, but there's a lot of knowing that you got to show up with as an eight. And then we have 9, a final number. 9s are leaders in a different way than 3s and 1s. There is a theme when we get up the ladder about showing up as yourself. So 9 also has like a theme about being authentic and being a leader and being like owning strength and power. But it really comes down to where 9s are like in the highest form. They're the diplomat, the one with the power to translate between and like combine differences and go like, oh, that's great that you're really angry about this, and that's great that you're really angry about this. How do we combine you two and figure out a way to get peace on earth in the extreme form? So 9s are really, and it can be, they have a lot of power. They can, just like 3s, they can work really hard. They can really push through challenges. You know, if you place a mountain in front of a 9, and they'll go like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going that way because there's a mountain, and that's what I do. I climb this stuff. So there is a big theme in them, in like owning the strength, and then being able to go like, okay, but I don't need to climb all the mountains. I can be the middle way. I can be the person who steps back and say, I don't need to solve all the problems, but I will show you guys how you're going to solve this. Like the diplomat, to just like bring people together and shine a light authentically like that.
So like a mediator.
Yes.
Middle,
but to do that, there's like a lesson about control and not being like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cross this mountain. I'm going to get through it. I'm just going to work hard. I don't care. I'm just going to work hard. I'm going to, have a full-time job and get kids and be the perfect wife and take some extra training and start my own business. And, like all the, they will just pile their plate really high. And usually they don't, like, the lives that would break other people don't usually break 9s. They just keep going until something really breaks. Like until their adrenals give out or something like that. Yeah. And there's a lot of temperament in 9s too. They're ruled by Mars. So there's like the fighter inside them to get through anything. But that was like, not so quickly, but still that was like the I just wanted to run through them so people had an idea.
Right. And for anyone listening right now, so we're talking about base numbers, and so you add the day.
Yes, you take the digit sum of whatever number. Like we're only talking, when we're talking base numbers, about single digits. So if you're born on a double digit day, you put those two double digits together. Like you're born on the 11th, you're a 2. You're born on the 27th, then you would be a 9. So you just find the digit sum to find your base number.
Oh, so it's not also the month as well.
No, we use the month for different things, but just okay. Like so this is like the general thing. Then if you want to go deeper, which also sometimes we can kind of live a little bit in our yearly base number, or live a little bit more in our day base number. So if one wants to go deeper, they can calculate the digit sum of the year they were born in, and again, you just take all the digits and add them all up. Find the digit sum, the one number they all add up to, and then you could see, because of course, like you were a 4, no, a 6.
So I did it wrong, but I ended up getting the same thing anyway.
So you're born on what?
It was a 1509. And so when I added them all up, I got 6.
Yes, because you add whenever you put 9 and something together, it'll just repeat the same number. Yes.
Right. Okay. and then 1 and 5, 6. Oh, there's a lot of patterns that you can find with this.
Yes, there is a lot of patterns in it. for sure. I can see we got one live person, don't we? Is there somebody?
Yeah, I see that. There's somebody, yeah. So if anyone is watching right now and has a question,
I'm totally up for questions.
please ask, because now's your time. And how does it, so I'll ask the question.
Yes.
While we wait on anybody else. So how does this connect to you talking about the challenges, the lessons that we have to learn, the strengths, and particularly the gifts, right? So how for each, it's like your sun sign. What's the
yes? I
what's
think
the strength?
the thing I have created, and I'm totally gonna link you guys to it too. I created some ebooks that go more into depth on these. Both if one wants to calculate, you know, the name vibrations of one's name, you can get my ebook and you can calculate that. And I also made an ebook. It's actually going out Monday. Okay, I'm just totally self-promote here. But if one signs up for my newsletter, then this Monday, I'm sending out an email with like all my Christmas gifts, which is like a bunch of links to of course this, but also like other podcasts and the ebooks. So if one wants to really deep dive into it, there's going to be a lot of information there. But I feel like with the gifts, it's usually sometimes be like, oh, this is what I'm about. I feel like for threes, when I talk to them, it's never a surprise to them that there is a theme about success. But sometimes it's good to talk about specifically, but what does success look like? Because chasing a goal you haven't specified is going to be really tough to catch. You know, it's really hard to get there if you haven't been specific about like what does it look like and how much work will it take to get there. So for threes, I feel like the gift is totally, they have an amazing amount of willpower and perseverance and just the work ethic is amazing. And sometimes the gift I can give them is sometimes I say, you know what, your 80% is usually other people's 110%. So if you're having a job where you're not working for yourself, but you're working for other people, you can tone it down a little bit. You don't have to kill yourself because you will be the best worker. You know what I mean? Like you will be the best, even if you're not giving it fully. And that's your gift. You're just, they're also ruled by Jupiter. They just give out more than most people. And sometimes that's the lesson. For ones, I would say, you know, your gift is to shine. You show other people what it is to stand in light. They're very original and very creative. And it's very important to find those moments where you can get to shine, where people can actually look at you. And some people, you know, we get taught by our parents maybe to like not, you know, stand in the spotlight and stop taking it, you know, bringing attention to yourself, whatever weird thing that our parents sometimes tell us that is not truly in our best interest. And for once, it's important to go like, hey, you're supposed to be looked at. You know, you're supposed to figure out what you want to do and then go do it. Stand in your light. Be you.
Yeah, oftentimes the environment doesn't.
Yeah. And again, with six, when we say like if the theme is love, and it's always interesting because with some sixes, there are so many men or women or whatever partners where you're like, whoa, you're really dividing your attention here and you're pouring all this love on all these people, but are you pouring it on yourself? Or where if I meet sixes where they're so drained that they have given up on love. They've just kind of gone like, but I hurt people and people hurt me and I don't want to do it anymore. I just don't want to do it and I don't know how to, it's always like, it's such a, like, because it becomes a theme in your life. You know, for threes, work becomes a theme, and for sixes, like love becomes a theme, and loving yourself and taking care of yourself, and it's overwhelming. And it's so important to be like, whoa, this is my gift, but it's only possible if I give it to myself first. And what does that look like? Because sixes are also like, they're so good at taking care of other people. Sometimes I make, this is a thing I do for some sixes. I say, okay, so I have this person. You're going to plan out her week. She's doing all the things you're doing. And you need to plan the week for her. And you need to make sure that she takes care of herself. And I make them plan the week out with all the things that they have to do. And, you know, what they put in the spa time, the sitting and listening to an audiobook, the self-pleasuring night, like whatever it is they put in there, where they're like, this would be really good for my friend. And then I go like, and now this is your week. You have now planned out a week for you where you have like put in there when you're going to take care of yourself. When are you going to do it? Because it's such a gift. You know, sixes are amazing parents too. Amazing. Like they're the perfect parent. They really, you know, I think all women are really good organizers and good at thinking ahead and following through and whatever. But six moms are like, you know, superheroes. Talk about superstars. They just really, it's so intuitive for them to anticipate other people's needs and wants. And that's why I do the thing with the week, because I'm like, you can anticipate other people's needs and wants. So we're just going to pretend that this is another person, and then you'll do it for yourself. And then you have to do it. You have to show up for your dates with yourself. Have to follow through, because it's so, like, again, that's also a way of showing the world how one takes care of oneself. Nothing is more beautiful than a person who really, truly knows how to take care of themselves. Put boundaries in place. Say no to this so I can say yes to that. That's really, I feel like the more we understand ourselves, the more we can give ourselves what we really need, and go after what will make us happy.
And there are so many different types of numbers, right? That will tell you different sides of the story.
Yes, and of course also, like, you know, I'm getting attacked by a hair. I mean, it's part of the newsletter that I'm going to send out, so people can totally sign up for that. But I made like a whole blog series where I wrote a blog on each base number and what to do when you feel down and out, like when life is just really sucky. What would be the good things to do to take care of yourself? Because, I mean, just kind of like the sixes, and you know this, it's very easy to look at other people and go like, these things would be really good for you. But sometimes we look at ourselves, we're like, I don't know what I need. I just want to watch Netflix and cry under my, you know, like, but that might not be what you need. That might just be one of the ways that you kind of self-soothe.
You don't put the same effort that you would for others as you would. Yeah. Wow, those are so much information.
No, it is so much information.
But it's great. It's great.
Yes.
I'm sure anybody listening now afterwards will really like be open, like have their eyes and mind, hearts open.
I feel like the thing with it is like, for me, it really, really made sense. I think for some people, they go to astrology or something and they're like, oh my God, so totally makes sense. And my North Node and my Saturn return and like all these things. And for me, my mom was really into astrology and was always like, it's so interesting when you talk about it, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't click inside my head. Numerology, it just clicks for me. And I really see, I see with my friends when they're talking about somebody and I'm like, okay, give me their numbers. And then we talk a little bit, especially when you go to, when you do the double digits, we talk about karmic lessons. And there might be, you know, more hints into who, like how this, like for a 4, if they're born on the 31st, there's like more hints into that. And I talk about, oh, what could that mean? They go like, oh my God, that's so this person. And I'm like, see, isn't it great? I'm talking about somebody I don't even know, have never met. And I can pinpoint what their, you know, Achilles heel is, like what they, and if that person were excited enough to come to me, I could really help them. You know, I could really, you know, see what would support them. In more ways, I mean, I have sessions that are not name change sessions where we just talk about that, the specifics, the nitty gritty of your essence. Yeah, and what that means and kind of what What have you signed up for in this life? What did you want to experience?
I think that like the classical, what people normally associate would be like life path number. You know, like they would calculate that, and then like that's like the standard.
Yeah.
What people would first know about when you talk about numerology.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to say, and I don't want to confuse anyone, that there are many, like just like astrology has many schools, like Indian astrology and Chinese astrology. Numerology also has different schools, and what I'm doing is Chaldean numerology, which is like the oldest and the more complex form. There's definitely different. It's just important, like, you know, if one Googles like a madwoman, then go for what makes sense. Don't just like, oh, maybe my life path number is 6. If you read something and go like, that doesn't sound like me, figure out what kind of numerology they're using and go like, okay, so maybe I don't resonate with this form. Because that's what I experience sometimes when people go like, you know, whatever question they have, and they're like, I read all these things, and I'm like, yeah, did it feel like they were talking about you? No. Okay, well then, you know, disregard. Because if it doesn't feel like I'm talking about you, and if you can't take anything away from this, then it's useless. Yeah.
Right. So first that point, the energy vibration.
Yes.
With you. So we've gone on a little bit. So
Yes.
so you have that offer you
yes,
share.
I just wanted to share it with anyone still watching or anyone who's tuning in, that if you put in superstar as the code on my booking page, you get $25 off of all sessions.
Oh, awesome. Superstar in caps.
It doesn't matter, but yes, if you have in caps, it'll work too. Just superstar, and this code will last all of 2017. So you got until New Year's if you want to book a session. I'm booked all the way until in the new year, but you know, you can book in advance if that's it.
So once you book from now to then, you'll get it up.
Yes.
Awesome. And so just share with us your like links, your website, Facebook page.
My webpage is novanoel.com, and that is NOVANOELL, 2 L's.com. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Nova Noel. If you want to find me on Facebook, it's Nova Noel Numerology. And I guess that's where I am. Yes. You can also find me on Google and other places, but I think I'm mostly active on Facebook and Instagram. And you can always
interesting spelling, NOELL.
Yes. Well, that's numerology.
That's something to do with. It's always a deeper meaning.
Yes.
So as we're wrapping up, share with us one important message you'd like to leave everyone with. One thing that you'd want to share to anyone who's not being introduced to numerology, trying to discover the gifts and figure all of this out.
Yeah, I would say trust me on this. A lot of the things that you think or how you feel and how you think and how you experience the world is really in your name. And it doesn't mean that you have to change it, but just like you're not your emotions, I mean, you're more than that. You're really more than these experiences that are coming to you. And I feel like that's why I'm doing sessions that also have to do with more than just name change. It's just that when you really truly understand the lessons that you came here to learn, there's a lot more hope and there's a lot more light. And I feel like that's important to remember, that whatever you're in right now, it's really possible to change. And it's really possible to turn the whole thing around and see it really differently. And whatever you do it through, numerology or something else, just, you know, go look for it until you find it. Don't stop looking for something to turn the whole thing around, because it's really possible.
This is a journey.
Yeah. For sure.
So that was a really deep, profound message.
Yeah, and then, you know, world peace and so on. But yeah, I think it's really important. We can change. It's always possible. If you haven't found the thing yet, you know, keep looking.
Right. There's so many things out there, right?
Yes, there is.
You not be disappointed in how many things will just suddenly pop up on your path.
Yeah, and really also this sense like this is just who I am, or this is just how it is, or it can't be changed. I mean, I used to think like that, and I just realized it's not true. It is not just who I am. It is not just how it has to be, and it can change. Yeah.
So you have the power.
Yeah.
Take your take your power back.
Totally take your power back.
All right.
All right.
So this is the end. And again, I'll leave the links below when we're done. So thanks so much, Nova, for joining us. Nova Noell Sommer. Yes. And yeah, I'll see you again for another guest interview with the Tribe and Superstar Academy.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
You're welcome, and it was a pleasure.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Bye from both of us.